Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be checking out Night Terrors, Night's End Issue 1 by Joshua Williamson, Howard Porter, Giuseppe Camuncoli and Trevor Hairsine. Finally, the big summer event for DC comes to an end, and not a moment too soon. But it does so with a rather insulting ending, as the entire issue contains everything which should have been in the previous 4 issues. So the story follows Insomnia having made his way to the world of the living and is spreading his nightmares across the earth with the Nightmare Stone. The villain confronts the now awake Justice League, attacking them with various things from around the hall and just trying to get general revenge on them, even though throughout this story it's been pretty clear that he was more interested in dealing with people like Deadman than the actual Justice League. But Williamson tries to bring it back to this whole thing started because Insomnia was mad that the Justice League did not help his family. Deadman meanwhile is sent to his own little world nightmare place where his family are back with him, and this is the only thing I actually liked about the book, since the villain was actually good on their word and gave Deadman what he promised the hero. However, Deadman soon realizes this isn't what he actually really wants, and this is more so what Insomnia really wanted but couldn't get. There is a hint here at something really cool character-wise here, and it's all about moving forward and letting go of one's past and moving past your trauma, but it never gets explored enough for it to properly matter in the grand scheme of things. Williamson then complicates things even more by reintroducing Dr. Destiny's dreamstone, which hasn't been a part of this event at all in any case. It was in the first special issue just because Dr. Destiny was, and the dreamstone is his thing that he gets his power from, but since then it has been nowhere in this event. And we learn in this issue from Batman, of course, because he somehow has this stone. We learn that the stone is the thing that can stop Insomnia and counter all of his nightmares with dreams, something which probably should have been used throughout the entire event. Why it's suddenly just appearing here in a very Deus Ex Machina style reveal is just beyond me. This is something that I would have immediately thought of, and something that I have been thinking of throughout this entire event, like, where is the Dreamstone? Why did Insomnia not try to find this stone as well as the Nightmare Stone? You would think that he would try and find something that gets you into dreams to help get into nightmares as well. It's just clear logic gaps in this story, and it's just so frustrating that a writer like Williamson, who has written, as I said before, stuff like the current Superman run, the current Green Arrow run, all the great Justice League Incarnate stuff he did, and he just didn't think about that sort of stuff here. It's mind-boggling. Anyway, Deadman ends up using the device to quote-unquote sacrifice himself to stop Insomnia, who becomes trapped in a hell-like world with his family who are like zombie versions of themselves. And honestly, I think that's a little mean-spirited, since it's almost like they've forgotten why Insomnia did all of this. He did all of this because his family died. He did all of this out of grief. Yes, it was completely wrong, and I didn't like how he went about doing this, but that seems really mean to, like, this guy who just went through all this grief and suffering and everything, just to dump him in a nightmare world where his family constantly, like, eat him and like, kill him. Is just so weird and so mean for these characters. It's really strange. It comes across as almost Williams didn't have an ending for this character, or didn't know what to do with him, so they just dumped him out on this world where maybe at some point he could come back or something. Like anyone else is going to ever use this character. Everyone's already forgotten about them anyway. After that, the book is all just finishing up the story, kinda, sorta, teasing out other stuff. We see Sandman get put back in his grave, which is kind of cool, but also kind of wish he stayed around, and Batman falls into a coma thanks to the immense stress his body has been put through this entire event. But after also having read the Gotham War starter this week, we find out that doesn't actually last very long and he's out of the coma at all, even though in this book it's set up like, oh, what's going to happen to Batman? Is Batman going to be okay? And then you just pick up this Gotham War book and say, he's fine, he gets out of the coma, it's fine, nothing bad happened. And the final thing we get is, of course, with Amanda Waller, since Williamson has been setting up this whole thing with her trying to undermine the heroes and show that they are really the enemy to the people, and she's conveniently used this event to show the people that heroes heroes aren't all they're cracked up to be, and she somehow manages to get the Nightmare Stone from the heroes, as well as the Helmet of Hate, which she got before this event, and she ends up giving it to some unknown individual who puts them on and becomes Dr. Hate, a completely very original character, and not a fucking stupid character at all. It's so stupid. Dr. Hate, come on. It's so stupid. And again, we're not told who this person is. It could be any type of person. I'm, just wild theory, I'm going to assume it's probably someone like Kent Nelson, since Kent Nelson isn't around and hasn't been around, and this unnamed individual says that he cannot be known and no one must know who he is, so it's definitely someone we already know. That kind of makes sense, kind of tracks with the whole Helmet of Hate sort of thing. But yeah, it just kind of taken the wind out of this whole Waller thing for me, because I was really quite excited for what Williamson was building up with her sort of gathering up all these like no-name villains and targeting all of the heroes and trying to undermine everything they're doing and everything. But here it just felt like tacked on, like, okay, we had this big event, so we'll somehow try and tie that into what Waller was doing. Because even Waller has this kind of meta commentary where it's like, oh, well, we didn't plan for this, so we'll just incorporate that into our plan now and just say we did. It's really weird and just kind of takes the legs out of the whole thing, and it's really disappointing because that Waller stuff was actually pretty cool, and the stuff he was building up with Waller, sort of taking no shit from all these people and working with Peacemaker and Peace Wrecker, but not really interested in it really now at all. So Howard Porter, Giuseppe Camuncoli, and Trevor Hairsine all helped finish out the story with their artwork, and wow, never have I seen such strong evidence to support the fact that the artist, or artists in this case, didn't have enough time to complete their work. I really enjoy Howard Porter's work, especially his work on The Flash during Joshua Williamson's run on the book. You look at stuff like Flash War and it just looks fantastic. So when I say his work here is just awful, I don't say that very lightly. It looks extremely rushed and very rough, with barely any separation of the characters from the backgrounds, so it all sort of just blends together in this sort of purple-blue mess. It's really weird to look at. Camuncoli and Hairsine, however, do manage to keep their work consistent from their previous work in the series, as well as the other books that have been going on at the time, but again, it feels like they were kind of brought in to help fill the gap in Porter's work on things that he couldn't maybe get to before a deadline was reached, and they just kind of pushed it out there because they know this event isn't really going to matter to anything going forward, so they just want to get it out there, get past it, move past it. And it's a real shame when that really happens, because you can tell artists don't like to be rushed in their work, especially someone who, like Porter, is very detailed with his work. Again, you look at like his past work, he puts immense detail into his work, and here it's just all but missing. Everything's just a mess, and it's a real shame. Night Terrors begun as an interesting, unique type of DC summer event, but quickly became a vapid, plotless mess, all which had no real direction for any of its characters. So I'm glad it's over now, and the regular ongoings can come back. Joshua Williamson and all these great artists can go back to their normal duties on these books, and Williamson can go back to writing actually good books with Superman and Green Arrow. I'm going to give this issue a 2 out of 10.